Okay, if we're ready, I've got 7:01. We'll go ahead and call this meeting to order. And we've already done our tech check and people could hear us out in Zoom land. And we've got a full board. And with that, please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Okay, do we have any additions, deletions, or corrections to our agenda? I know the ordinance has been rewritten, so I'll be basically reading from what's been rewritten.
That's the only one I have is that resolution 2024-01.
Okay.
Yep.
With that, if there's no other comments about the agenda, I'd entertain a motion.
I move that we approve the agenda as presented.
I'll second that.
It's been moved and seconded. We approve the agenda. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Moving on to item number 3 is our consent agenda, our meeting minutes from the 2023-12-12 board meeting. Do we have any corrections or additions to our minutes? Hearing none, I'd entertain a motion.
I move that we approve the agenda, the consent agenda, the minutes from 12/12/2023.
I'll second that.
It's been moved and seconded. We approve our consent agenda. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, we're moving on to item 4A, mayor and trustee reports. I'll start with trustee King and go down this direction. Okay.
Nothing to report.
Nothing.
Nothing. Thank you.
Okay, I have a handful. Our broadband. In the not too distant future, in fact, fairly quickly, we're going to be needing folks to maybe volunteer to do some testing. And that's the test. It's basically to do speed tests to see if they're getting what they're really supposed to be getting as far as speeds. It'll be a website-based thing where for the volunteers will go in and click on the website, say your address. You might have to upload a copy of something that says whatever your speeds are supposed to be. But that is coming soon, probably within a week, maybe, because we need to be done by February, if I'm not mistaken. So that's coming. In the legislative front, we're anticipating a highly aggressive legislative session. There are some draft bills that I'll call to your attention. The area agencies on aging took a big hit with this year's state budget. There is a bill to try to help remedy that. Again, I don't have bill numbers because these are still all drafts. But they're saying across the 16 regional offices, they're so short on funds this year that the wait lists are increasing to thousands of people. And so that's one to maybe watch. There's also a gun bill to maybe want to watch where they are potentially going to make all public areas like a gun-free zones. Yeah. Anyway, with that, I'm still a member of the PPACG Legislative Committee. There's a good chance that I may have to be making several more trips to Denver this year than I did last year. We're having a little bit of a slow start on the PPACG side. We hope to have that rectified soon as well. Tomorrow is a pool park meeting at 6 p.m. here. Encourage attendance. On January 31st is the third and final Stilling Basin beautification meeting. Also encourage attendance of that. On our budget, the numbers from Teleran, El Paso County did come in. is basically a 5.06 something percent increase over 2023. We drafted our budget with a 4%. So we were pretty much on target with what happened. And finally, I've been informed by Trustee Ives, it's National Law Enforcement Appreciation Day. Please pass on our appreciation to all the staff, Marshall Goings, and thank you. Okay, with that, move on to staff reports.
Good evening. Thank you for that. I do have a thing that I'm going to read about that in just a second here. Going over the marshal's report. We had 34 calls for service, about par for the course for December. Yep, it's on. I'm just not leaning in far enough. So about par for the course for where we generally are. Being, us being half the folks leave town at some point. So we're about half the calls that we normally get. So we assisted other agencies in that we did Shop with the Hero during December, went and shopped with the kids for Christmas with Teller County and a lot of the agencies up there. We had 92 hours of reserve hours work. So those are just volunteer hours, basically. We also assisted Woodland Park PD with their Christmas parade. And as it was mentioned, that was Law Enforcement Appreciation Day. I have a poem that was written by a young lady from a sheriff's department in Texas. And I think it's interesting, the meaning behind the badge. We work in a job most people wouldn't do. The blood running through our veins isn't red, but blue. Many hours of training through blood, sweat, and tears. The patrol car is our home a majority of the year. Some don't understand the split-second decisions we must make, whether it's a life we must save or a life we must take. Just look through our eyes and walk in our shoes. Then you'll know the meaning behind the badge that we hold so true. It means we will depend on our dispatchers to be our lifeline and sometimes our ears. It means we will help calm you down through sorrow and tears. It means we will run into the bushes or give chase through the trees. It means we will push through the exhaustion and the pain crippling our knees. It means we will comfort your loved ones or rescue injured from wrecks. It means we will search in any type of weather for those who are lost. It means we have seen the good and we have seen the evil too. It means that we have laughed and yes, even cried with you. It means we are brothers and sisters forever bound by the thin blue line. It means I am honored to face the unknown, to save a life and risk losing mine. So thank you for your words. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Marshall Goings.
That's going to
Okay,
be a tough act
next
to
up.
follow. I've not prepared any poetry or anything in art. Right now, just routine activities. I do have to report that STR renewals are underway. I've got 20 approved and 10 have applied and are, pending some adjustment of document or something like that. So we're about halfway into STR renewals. I'm nervous because there's only about a week till that deadline. So we do have one turning over and that's been posted and the neighbors have been notified. So that should, pending comments and feedback, be approved on the 22nd. I let you know earlier in the year that we were going to be shredding. That took place December 15th. And it was quite a bit of stuff. We came in budget. Here's a picture of the pile. It was pretty good. And I was projecting that it would be about $500 and we came in at $434.50. So that part was good. Let's see if I forgot anything here. ADA, we talked about, there was a memo from legal about bringing our website and materials that we have available to the public, and having them be ADA accessible, using like reader tools and whatnot. So Shelley Scott Nash has been amazing. She's made a huge effort. She's come in here weekly to coach me, and then has spent a ton of her own time. All of us owe her a huge thanks, and she's really good at it. Like, she can read the code and understand, you know, what's happening in there. I would be completely lost without her help. So I'm gonna actually turn it over to you if you'd like to speak about the next couple of slides and help. It's crazy, the process that's involved, and we'll tell you more here right now.
So
And
basically,
make sure you hit the blue button. Well, hit the button.
Hit
where you
any
get the
button,
blue light.
okay.
There you go.
so basically, he, basically the state passed legislation, that says all towns, counties, state websites have to be compliant. So basically that means to us that, screen readers should be able to read any of our website pages, and additionally, any documents we have posted on the website. So two main areas, website and documents. Luckily, the town is using the SEPA web platform, the State Internet Portal Authority, which is fairly compliant to begin with. So that's great. So Bo and I spent a couple months, I'd say, going through our website and using a tool called Wave, which is a browser plugin, to identify any pages that were non-compliant on the website. So these are things, so an example here I gave you, these are things like lack of color contrast. So no more funny fonts on dark backgrounds or anything like that. That's all gone. Headings have to be heading 1, heading 2, heading 3, that kind of thing. Alternative text on all images. So the website was actually pretty easy to get in compliance. So, and like the 3 tests are screen readers, and then browser inserts, and then go on to the next part there. And then documents, and most of ours are PDF documents. Bo and I have been using a Adobe tool that analyzes accessibility. So here's an example of, I have to go in and touch a number of things in each PDF document to bring it into compliance. And takes me about 15 to 45 minutes for any given document. So these are things like annotating all graphics. You actually have to go in, and if there's any tables in a PDF, you have to make sure the headings are set as headings. And if you don't do all that, the screen readers will not read the PDF. And the important thing here is that as of July 31st, any person from I think they put it disabled community that complains, it's a $3,500 fine, and you have to bring it into compliance. So we're taking this somewhat seriously. So the big push Bo and I have for the next couple months is to come up with processes for the town and anyone giving us content, so that Word documents and so on, that we're giving people guidance how to set those Word documents up so that they come into this process a lot cleaner. Do you have anything to add, Bo? Correct. The PDF documents are the elephant in the room. And again, we're lucky that we're using the SEPA web platform. Other towns are not on that. I'm going to have a lot more struggle with it. Any questions?
So this is a draft, right? Nothing's been, set in stone at this point, but part of it is, and you can help with this part time, but, part of it is, ability to cure, so we can put this violation, we have 30 or 60 days.
Yeah, and more importantly, in that memo, they're looking at letting us keep archived information up there previous to July 1, which is huge because we have thousands of PDFs sitting up there and we can't fix all those. It just isn't even possible. But so what we're looking at are the processes moving forward, anything we post, in 2024. And hopefully they'll back off on and let archive stuff stay up there. But we don't know that. There's no assurance of that yet.
That draft extraction. That's just part of it, like all of our stored PDFs fall under that exemption, part of that.
So that's a relief. So we don't have to worry about archive.
We don't know that yet
We've
because
got-
that's a draft change to the current legislation.
Yeah, this is absolutely a huge hit to our town.
Yeah.
Yet another unfunded state mandate. I don't disagree with the concept of making it ADA accessible, but I do disagree with the fact that they really haven't given us any resources. And this is a manual operation. It's not something you
Right.
can turn over to AI and say, go do it.
So we're the first states, Colorado's the first state to have legislation like this. So the tools like the Adobe PDF accessibility corrector tool is really not very sophisticated and it's certainly not automatic.
But the concern I have is how this could potentially affect our transparency in the future. If we can't post things electronically, then do we have to go back to paper copies here in town hall? I don't know. But it is a concern of mine about our future transparency.
I did pose that question to Judy Egbert of GovPro. She's a consultant that I use. And basically, we don't have to have a website. If we do have a website, we have to use it as a posting place, but we don't necessarily have to archive. We don't have the board packet and I can just post that there is going to be a meeting and then have that packet here available for viewing. And yeah, honestly, without Shelley's help, that would have been plan A, that would have been what was happening. So thank you for your help. We're gonna, have a website, good website, and I think be able to keep all this.
Yes, Shelley, thank you very much for helping us
You're welcome.
get through this.
That was it for my report.
Quick updates from my desk. The U.S. Forest Service Community Wildfire Defense Grant was submitted. We do expect announcements in February. So, keep our fingers crossed. We are still waiting on a couple of additional bids for the CEW dumpster blowing project, but we do have the site prep pretty well complete. So that's good news there. Our goal is to hopefully be able to have that project underway and complete prior to the Bears waking up this spring. But we will be having a little bit of a balancing act as we'll probably need to have the ground thawed adequately to be able to set up those stairs. So that's where that's at. Of course, we have our University Technical Assistance Team here tomorrow to help with the pool study. Working to close out our comprehensive roads and drainage study with DOLA. Pending our mill levy certification this evening, we will go ahead and submit that as well as our budget for 2024. We do have a meeting coming up on February 1st with our partners for fire mitigation. That will include the COSWAP folks, Mahayu Park, Kirkpatrick, Team Rubicon, and our FMAC. So we'll be looking at ways that each of those projects can work areas without stepping on each other's toes is the main part of that. just because we do have quite a few resources coming in this year. We did get our PPRTA report submitted. And as Mary Dixon noted, all of our projects have been submitted except for our Catamount Creek project, which requires permit from the Army Corps of Engineers. That application for that permit has been submitted. So outside of that, I did ask on the timeline for reimbursement for the FEMA projects, and the answer I got was it really does depend. It depends on the type of projects.
Amy did.
Oh, we used it all up.
Like, well, there's other batteries in it.
We get it ready before you pick that out.
How's that? No. I lost it at the transceiver. I'm gonna swap with them.
Yeah, swap with the other one.
This one too.
Yeah. We'll need that one back up there for public comment.
All right, yeah, so did get a little bit of feedback on how long it takes to get those reimbursements, and it really depends on how that flows from the state to the county, or if they go ahead and reimburse the state and then the state reimburses the town directly. So there's a couple of depending factors there. But with those, I did hear that we were the first community to have all of our projects submitted, so that should help. Want to thank all of the staff and Mayor Dixon with their help in making sure that that process went smoothly. Still working to support our planning office as we are still doing a little bit of code cleanup and implementation. We do have the CIRSA All Boards training scheduled for the end of this month on the 30th at 6 p.m. at Town Hall. There's more info on that on the town's website. We do anticipate that there will be an amendment to the 2023 budget based on both the FEMA reimbursements and PPRTA. We are participating in a regional transportation study that is being conducted through PPACG. This is their long-range transportation plan, so we did submit a project for that as well. And we are continuing to research funding opportunities to support town projects. One of the next big tasks on our administrative plate is working to prepare for our 2023 audit and the year-end closeout. I think that that's all that I have, except for there's one critical thing that I forgot to include in my report, and that is wanted to thank our marshal for conducting a really fantastic staff training since our last meeting. We had a really great training. It was above and beyond what we had expected. So thank you, Marshall.
Okay, next up is the Parks, Rec, and Trails end of year report. See if that mic up there works. Do
The
it.
light is on.
Light is on.
Can you hear me?
I can.
Okay. So I'm Nancy Dixon. I am Secretary of Parks, Recs, and Trails. At our November meeting, our little committee decided that we needed to present to the board to let you guys know what we've done in 2023. There's two things I'd like to highlight on this end of the year report. We have our goals that we have completed. If you'd scroll down a little bit, Bo. But we also have, in addition to all those goals, all the activities that were brought to our committee that our committee of 5 took on and accomplished also. It was either recommendations to the town staff or recommendations to the board. So we had 12 additional items put on our plate and we were able to handle those, which says a lot for our little committee of 5. We also, if you scroll down another part, we had PRT members that were involved with other committees, and I feel like that's a really good compliment to our committee that we're able to extend our knowledge expertise to other committees, because sometimes I feel like our town committees are in their little bubbles. And I think that the more that we work together and sort of integrate, the more we can get done. That was a couple of things I wanted to point out, but now if you go back to the top, I kept track of all the in-kind hours that PRT did. I encourage every town committee to do that. Keep track of your in-kind hours, because you'll be really surprised by the end of the year how many hours you've put into your volunteering of that. And so I took the hours that PRT did, which was, helping to maintain the parks, doing our spring cleanup and our fall cleanup. And also the Friends of You Past Trails, I put their volunteer hours on there, because even though they're getting a contract with the town and they're getting paid, it's all volunteers. None of the volunteers are getting, payment for that. So that's all in-kind hours. The Trail Ambassadors also. And of course, Don Walker and his superpower of opening the pool and keeping it, being successful. So the total hours on there, and I highlighted that, and I can't read it, but. And I looked it up, and a volunteer hour is valued at $32 an hour. So that ended up being $83,000, close to $500 that our little community put into this town. So that was another thing I really wanted to, not me, our committee wanted to recognize and also present to the board, just to let you know that our little committees are really doing a lot of work. So if you have any questions, you're welcome.
Thank you. Okay, well, with that, we'll move on to our public comment for 3 minutes of speaker.
I do have one public comment.
I need to talk about your decision last month to remove our highly effective, highly respected Planning Commission Chair, Lamar Matthews. I find it inconceivable how trustees King and Guthrie could vote against commission members when not once last year did you attend a Planning Commission meeting. This is a real concern, highlighting your out-of-touch perspective when it comes to voting on committee appointments. Here's what our commissioners have to say to Chair Matthews over email correspondence. Ann Esch, thank you very much for your leadership skills in getting the land use code finished on time. Your interest in and generous volunteering for Green Mountain Falls is wonderful. Commissioner Bonwell agrees and adds, thank you for your contributions to the town. Our informal town engineer, Phil McIntyre, adds, I will miss your chairmanship of the Planning Commission and commitment to Green Mountain Falls. From my personal and town dealings with Chair Matthews, I can attest she is a person of integrity, a leader, and a person of high character. So for trustees King, Guthrie, and Mayor Dixon, is what you did legal? Probably, but it's a move that no one I know could admire. I ask you to reconsider your role as trustees. We citizens expect you to serve our community, not yourselves. Your removal of our highly effective Planning Commission chair was unprompted, unwarranted, unexplained, radical. You created a problem where none existed. As a planner, I have to ask, now what? None of the remaining 4 commissioners has expressed the slightest interest in becoming chair. And after your shabby treatment of Lamar Matthews, why would we? The town has also received no applications for the vacancy you created. Permission to approach? I offer a solution to your problem. Before you, trustees King, Guthrie, and Mayor Dixon, is an application for you to apply for the Planning Commission vacancy. By your vote, you obviously feel you can do a better job of leading the Planning Commission. I ask that you step down as trustees, apply for Planning Commission chair, and show our citizens just what you offer in place of the vacuum you created. Whatever you sought to accomplish by your vote, in the end, character counts. Lamar Matthews is a person of integrity, a leader, a person of high character. When you look in the mirror, can you say the same?
Other public commenters?
Do I have anyone on Zoom for public comment?
This is Anne. Can I say something?
Yes, please do, Ann. Please state your full name for the record.
Anne Esch is my name. And I'm sorry that Rocco said those things. That's all I'd like to say.
Thank you. Do I have anyone else on Zoom for public comment?
Okay, if there's no further public comments, we will move on to our business items. Item 6A, Lori Worthy FMAC application.
It doesn't look like we have anybody from the Fire Mitigation Advisory Committee on, but they did provide a memo with their recommendation for Lori Worthy, and you also have in your packet her application.
Okay, questions, comments? If there are none, I'd entertain a motion.
I'd move to approve the application for Lori Worthy for Fire Mitigation Committee.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve Lori Worthy to the Fire Mitigation Committee. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Item 6B. Pronounce that. Danny Hines for the Parks, Rec, and Trails Committee.
Again, we do have a memo here recommending from the Parks, Rec, and Trails Advisory Committee that Danny be appointed as an alternate member. And her application is also included in your packet.
Okay, trustees, comments, questions? If there are none, I'd entertain a motion.
I move that we approve the recommendation of Danny Hines as the alternate Parks, Recs, and Trails Advisory Committee member.
I'll second that.
It's been moved and seconded. We approve Danny Hines as an alternate. Is that correct? For the Parks, Rec, and Trails Committee. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Item 6, C as in Charlie, is a resolution for a mill levy. And Bo and I did reword this afternoon. And so I need to read it in full. It's Green Mountain Falls, Colorado, resolution number 2024-01, a resolution levying general property taxes for the year 2023 to help defray the costs of government for the town of Green Mountain Falls, Colorado for the 2024 budget year. Whereas the Board of Trustees of the town of Green Mountain Falls has adopted the annual budget in accordance with the local government budget law on the 12th day of December 2023, and Whereas the 2024 valuation for assessment for the town of Green Mountain Falls is certified by the El Paso County Assessor is $12,594,790. And whereas the 2024 valuation for assessment for the town of Green Mountain Falls as certified by the Teller County Assessor is $764,340. And whereas the amount of money received from property tax revenues based upon the proposed mill levy is $234,960.38. Now therefore be it resolved by the Board of Trustees of the Town of Green Mountain Falls, Colorado, Section 1, that for the purpose of meeting all general operating expenses of the Town of Green Mountain Falls during the 2024 budget year, there is hereby levied a tax of 17.588 mils upon each dollar of the total valuation for assessment of all taxable property within the town for the year 2024. Section 2, that the mayor is hereby authorized and directed to immediately certify to the county commissioners of El Paso and Teller counties, Colorado, the mill levies for the town of Green Mountain Falls as herein above determined and said adopted this 9th day of January 2024. And I will note that the mill levy has not changed. It is what it was last year. So with that, trustees, questions, comments?
Thanks for that clarification that there's no change in the mill.
Yeah, no change in mill levy, and some of the language in the original resolution had us at to basically balance the budget, and that felt awkward to me since we've adopted a budget that's a little in the red. So if there's no questions, comments, I'd entertain a motion.
We'll move to approve resolution number 2024-01.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve resolution 2024-01. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, moving on with our item 6D, CDBG ADA 2024 application approval.
Yes, so staff is requesting your approval of an application to the El Paso County Community Development Block Grant for a 2024 project in their 2024 application cycle. These applications are due February the 2nd. We will be working with the Parks, Rec, and Trails Advisory Committee to further refine the scope that would be submitted for this application. Want to thank members of the staff and community and the PRT that attended the outreach meeting we were able to host for El Paso County in December. Had a really good turnout from several of the other partnering or neighboring communities looking at similar projects, but we had an opportunity at that meeting to really discuss future projects and next phases to support accessibility within our downtown and our public spaces. And they were really supportive of the concept of a realignment and improvements to the the Discovery Trail and the Ute Pass Avenue Trail, which is currently very constricted in areas. And so this project would really support and improve pedestrian safety as well as ADA accessibility. There is no local match requirement for this grant, and the anticipated ask would be around $200,000. And if awarded, we will work with the PRT to identify priority areas to be addressed in the phase 1 of that particular project, as well as how to phase out remaining components that can't be included in this budget.
And you need approval from us to pursue, correct?
For the application submission, yes.
Okay. Trustees, any questions, comments? If not, I'd entertain a motion.
I just had a comment. It seems like short notice.
It's a really quick turnaround, being that we are getting ready to, and this is something that I should have included in my report too. We have drafted an RFP to get to be posted for the gazebo bridge project. So what we hope to do is to have that RFP posted really, really soon. potentially where it will be able to take advantage of the hard surface under the bridge that currently exists there. That might make some of the work a little bit easier. And minimize the amount of time that the lake would need to be drained. So we'll be putting that out here really soon. Hope to be able to receive some bids quite quickly. We'll be working with members of the PRT with the bid opening. They'll be invited to the bid opening to evaluate those bids prior to awarding a contract. But either way, a contract will be coming before you in the near future, fingers crossed, for that project. And yes, it is very soon to be thinking about the next project.
Well, I move that we approve the CDBG ADA 2024 grant application.
I'll second that.
It's been moved and seconded. We approve the CDBG ADA application. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries.
Yeah, good job with that.
Moving on to item 7 alpha, or gazebo lake winter activities.
So this is really just a discussion item and staff is seeking direction from you. This year, we are experiencing a lot of ice fishermen on the lake, which we have not seen in the past. I asked Dusty to go look at the old signs that were up there to see if no ice fishing was put on them. I don't have a lot of background on why ice fishing was not allowed, or if it wasn't, or if it just wasn't happening in the past before kind of figuring out what needs to happen. We had intended to do some snow clearing for ice skating this year, and it doesn't mean that those activities can't coexist. But wanted to kind of get your feedback on it. Is it something that you do not want to see happening there? If so, we'll need to restore some signage. And if you're okay with it, we can delineate some space, but we do intend to resurface the area that the skaters had used before so that that can be cleared off. We're at about 6 to 9 inches of depth of ice all around the lake currently.
Question, was there any issue with CPW, Colorado Parks and Wildlife?
So I did talk to their aquatics, their fish biologist today. There are many communities, Palmer Lake, for example, that he said that they are no longer allowing winter access to that lake or ice fishing on it. Anyways, that's one of the opportunities that residents in the immediate area of Colorado Springs no longer have. He would like to know if we do intend to do that so that they can adjust their delivery of fish to accommodate. But definitely no issue from CPW, and they actually sounded kind of excited about the idea. The benefits of, there are some benefits and drawbacks of having it out there. Certainly it does, from an aesthetic standpoint, muck up the ice a little bit. But I think that and as far as safety concerns, I think that as long as people aren't drilling large holes, that the risk, they freeze over quite quickly. So I don't think that there's a huge risk of somebody going down there or, losing a shoe down one. As long as we've got some safety signage out there, and we do state now anyways that use the parks at your own risk. So that covers us from a liability standpoint. The benefits to it is that it certainly encourages use of the parks, activity downtown. I can think of a really great day of fishing on the lake a little bit in the morning and then getting brunch at the pantry. So hopefully that's something that, if you allow, could help to support our businesses in their off seasons.
It's the people's lake. Let them
Yeah.
use the lake.
If we section it off, how would you propose to section it off?
So I've discussed this with Public Works a little bit, and it would be really easy for them to make signage that says ice skating. And usually typically what I've observed is people that are ice skating are sitting down on the edge of the gazebo island to put on their skates and then skating in that area. The other side of the lake near the fishing pier is deeper water. It's better could be better fishing area. So I think that we could do some shoreline, temporary signage for winters that say ice fishing over here and skating over
Yeah,
there.
brilliant.
And as far as delineating it across the lake for safety, we could easily do that with pin flags in the ice.
Yeah, I like,
Refer to the ice skaters, are you also including the hockey players?
Mhm.
Okay.
I like that. Personally, I like the idea of being able to section it off to allow for both, if we can.
That's fine. I mean, if we have to, I mean, do we need to create more work for anybody?
Yeah, I think so. The issue right now is that, we have the blade for the quad that they were intending to use to clear the area for ice skating. It's currently pockmarked. Having the way that when you auger a hole in, it creates a little bit of a cone around the hole of ice shavings. Those freeze and they get really, really hard. They could do damage to the quad. I have a safety concern for our public works guys, so I would recommend delineating them to where the space is reserved for each activity.
Okay.
Yeah. We all kind
Yeah.
of thumbs up on maybe trying to do both.
Yeah, I think it's great.
Yep. I think that's the direction. Try to do both. Do we have any other discussion items?
I don't think that we do.
Okay. Okay. With that, we'll go ahead and move on to item 8A, our PPRTA cost estimates.
Yeah, so this was a cost estimates that was prepared by our town engineer and submitted to the PPRTA. These are projects that were approved in the November 2022 ballot for the PPRTA 3 and would be projects that the town would be able to dedicate the RTA capital funds towards for 2025 through 2034. These are very preliminary cost estimates. It was something that was requested by the RTA. I fully anticipate that they will change as we get closer to those years, and costs will need to be adjusted. But for the all intensive purposes, the value of having this document created is that it kind of gives us a ballpark in how much we anticipate these costs will be, and how much additional funding we will need to pursue to support the RTA projects. It's nice because we can look forward as the RTA funds being able to support match for grant applications to complete the projects.
Did we get clarification on the two bridge?
I have
items?
not gotten email back from Andre. If I don't hear from him in the morning, there were a couple of figures that looked a little bit awkward to us, and those end up being the Ute Pass Avenue pedestrian bridge and the El Paso Avenue bridge replacement. I think that it's because he was looking at what it would take to do pedestrian safety improvements rather than replacement of the entire bridge versus the El Paso Avenue bridge replacement.
Yeah, that's the one that just doesn't seem to
Yeah.
align.
And when I've, talked to other engineers of, what do you think it would cost to replace the Ute Pass Avenue Bridge, it ends up being considerably higher than the figure that's listed here. I think that this is actually just to do the pedestrian safety improvement.
Some of the other engineering estimates you had in the $1 to $5 million range.
And that wasn't a full on estimate. It was just an engineering estimate. It was a knee-jerk reaction
Okay.
from the consultant firm that El Paso County or CDOT uses to do the bridge inspections.
So sorry, did you say $5 million?
$1 to $5 million for this,
$1
for
to
our
$5
main
million.
bridge. And that, I think that was also to try to widen it.
Yeah, and
So we
it,
can get,
For pedestrians.
and bicycles.
right, and it's really variable dependent upon what type of bridge system you would want to put in there in the future. Currently, we need to have it inspected to see if we can do safety improvements to it. that will help to buy some time. It does have some lamination issues and some spalling, but no significant imminent structural issues outside of that. We do have loads posted on there, load limits posted on there.
And the worst thing about these is to actually go after the money, to actually do the project. You almost have to be what they call shovel ready.
Right.
And that's what we're
Ready to pull
competing
trigger.
against when we're going up against these grants. And that means all the engineering and everything's all ready to go. And
Mm.
if we get this grant, we can start construction. And that's frustrating.
So again, how bad is the bridge right now? You said there's some spalling.
Yeah, the spalling can be repaired, and there are some things that we can do to increase the life of the concrete that is holding the rebar in. That includes something as simple as painting. And
Right.
it could use some paint under there anyway.
You said lamination.
Laminate and spalling. So that's just the initial phases of the concrete breaking apart. A lot of that happens because the rebar that is embedded within the concrete is exposed or gets water into it and it
And
begins to
salts and
rust.
stuff, yeah.
Mhm.
Okay. So how much time do we have, life expectancy of the current bridge?
I don't think I'm qualified to answer that question.
I mean, did anybody?
I
ever-
think that we need to start
indicate?
doing some future planning on at least doing some repairs. And I think that probably the first phase of that ends up having a further assessment done.
We may have to do some emergency repairs first.
All right. Now, is that something we can do in-house, or is that something we're gonna have to contract out?
It'll definitely be something that we'll have to contract out. A lot of those repairs include sandblasting and getting rid of the old material that's disintegrating and then patching it up. And a lot of those projects could probably buy us a good amount of time. But with those loads posted, we can be certain that those weights are being violated on trash day.
Yeah. And if you
Okay.
would go to the total amount that you're estimating, at least right now, total A-list 1.913 million. Our total RTA budget is 700 and
I thought it was around
700,000 and
800.
change through from 2020. I want to say 2024 to
2025 to 2020.
2025 to 2035.
So that
So-
we do have a shortfall there, but planning ahead, I think is what will make this happen, and being able to leverage those RTA funds towards grants will make it go a lot further.
Yeah, we may have to use the RTA money for like the engineering and then
Yeah.
also then try to go get other money to match with what we have with RTA.
Okay. How old is this bridge?
Ooh, I'd have to look
Oh.
at the report. I think it's listed on there, but I
4 years?
yeah, I can get that info for you.
Yeah, those floods after the fire didn't do it any favors.
Yeah, I bet. But there's a possibility that we might be able to kind of stretch the life of this bridge out.
We might.
Yeah, definitely. And there's, when we're looking at bridge replacement options, there's designs that'll last well over 100 years. So.
Yeah, I'd rather cry once and.
Mhm. And, we do have our CAC member here tonight too. I don't know if he wanted to add anything to this.
Not really.
Okay.
It's going to be way more. than the DPRTA. Doing what we can to hold it together. As Becky said, leveraging the CAC money to match for additional.
Okay, any other discussion? Okay. That will move on to our item 9, our ending public comment. Do we have anyone who wanted to do an end of meeting public comment? Anyone on Zoom?
I'm not seeing anything coming in from Zoom.
Okay, anyone have any other last minute items If not, going, gone. It is 7:56. We are adjourned.
Bye.